Hello everybody, I'm DerTebbers, and this is your Farming Simulator 15 first quarter. I'm going to call it an award show, but it's not really an award show. What we're going to do is we're going to throw away the tractors and equipment I don't like, and we're going to keep the ones I do. So, first off, there's a big reason I had to do it now. When I turn around, my frame rate dies. That parking garage is absolutely packed, stuffed full of equipment. So we have to get rid of some of the things that we started out with during this first quarter. So I'm going to touch on two things. Let me run over here to this guy right here. Boop. All right. So two things. Well, actually, let's touch three. There's three things right here. There's the inspector mod on the left. I own a John Deere 748H. There is the drive control mod in the bottom right, which includes an ES limiter, shuttle control, and all kinds of various other goodies. And then in the top right is the greenhouse script, which tells you the status of all of your greenhouses. I only have one greenhouse. Now, I will say I am a fan of the drive control, including the shuttle. I am a fan of the greenhouse script, but until I have a really large farm, I'm not a huge fan of the inspector mod, though I understand its usefulness. I think all three mods, however, are excellent. There's another mod which is not purchased. That is the Ponzi Rentals. That is a rentals for the logging. I'm kind of on the fence about that because with some of these other pieces of equipment, you can get logging relatively quickly and inexpensively as well. All right, so that's the first set. Ponzi rental, the drive control, the inspector mod, and the I guess I call it the greenhouse info mod, something like that. All right, so let's hit a few of these. What I'm going to do is, as I decide to keep them or get rid of them, I'm going to remove them from my game. So let's start with these Steyrs. I liked the Steyrs, except as you see that I just left that one sitting there. I like the Steyrs, except when you reset them, they get all weird and tippy and stuff, and I don't like that. They also don't get dirty, which is kind of sad, but they're not terrible. I just don't think they're as good as some of the other pieces of equipment we have. All right, so the Steyr, decent, but not great. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Steyr. Let's go to our garage and find our Steyrs. I think they'll be, there they are. So we're going to go ahead and sell both of our Steyrs. All right, so the Steyrs are gone. Next thing we're going to touch on, I think we need to touch on some of the terrible mods. Some of y'all yelled at me about these ones because I didn't, quote unquote, use them properly. It doesn't matter whether I used them properly. In the end, they weren't good mods. These are each individual wheels. They literally model those as individual wheels. They didn't bother to model them as truly tread. So when you turn the piece of equipment, it causes the wheels to show. That's terrible. It's horrible. Yes, I could have used them properly. In the end, it was partially done via comedy. Because comedy is funny. Even though none of you have a humor bone left, apparently. But this is the... what was this thing called? The logging pack or something like that. And I would say just skip it. They're horrible. They fill your log with errors and they just don't look good. I mean, none of the pieces of this pack look good. So I'd say completely skip that entire logging pack. We also had this here, which was the Ponzi Buffalo Gens Hem, which was a chipper for you to use, and it was mounted on the back of this Ponzi Buffalo, which was okay, but let's be honest, there's better things out there. This is decent. I wouldn't say that it's terrible, but I wouldn't say it's the best out there. However, for reasons that will become clear later, I'm actually going to keep this one hanging out a little bit longer. So let me get rid of the rest of this herd here really quick. All right, that leaves this black thing. This is the LeBear, or LeBear, something. 990 logger. It's also really horrendous. In fact, it doesn't even have a decent camera view. Just want to point that out. It kind of got lost in the shuffle of all the other bad mods. But yeah, this is the LeBaron. We did that in like, I don't know, episode 9, I believe. And it's bad. Don't bother. Don't get that one. Let me make it go away now. All right. So now let's touch on the swap bodies. This is not all the swap bodies, but these are the main swap bodies. We got a timber frame. We've got a sprayer. And we've got 2 grain trailers. There's also another swap body that is around the corner, I believe. Hold on, we're going to have a frame rate hit while we run around the corner. It should be parked around here somewhere. Somewhere. There it is. It is a manure spreader. They're pretty good. In fact, I really do like these swap bodies, the bodies themselves. The manure one's a little bit small, but I do think it's okay. The trailer is okay, and I probably am going to say let's keep the trailer, but we're going to get rid of the manure one, and we're also going to get rid of the sprayer. And the reason is, as many of you pointed out, sprayers on your ground, you're going to compact it. It's probably not the best thing to do. So we're going to get rid of that. We're also going to get rid of the log swap body because there's better ways to handle your logs. So we're going to get rid of the log swap body. We're going to get rid of the manure spreader swap body because it's just a little bit too small. And let's be honest, how many of you out there actually use manure in to fertilize your crop? Because let's be honest, it takes forever and a ton of manure. And it's a very small capacity compared to the capacity of the in-game equipment. And we're also going to get rid of the sprayer because many of you pointed out, doesn't really make sense. All right, so let's touch on trailers because I do have quite the herd of equipment over here. There's this little tandem tipper here. It is like neon white because I let it be painted the default color. Oof, duh. Now, the big thing about this thing is unlike the regular one, which just accepts grain, this one accepts sticks as well. So when you have little sticks, you can toss the little sticks in the back of this thing. It's great, except, in my opinion, when you get to the point where you're cutting a bunch of these trees, you're going to end up having a chipper, right? I mean, most of us will. So I'm really kind of questioning it. However, it's not terrible. I'm going to sell it and get it in a better color because that's a horrendous coloration. But it's not a terrible little trailer. I'd actually say keep it. It's a pretty decent little guy. I like it. Here's the timber runner. It goes with the truck that's somewhere up in the parking garage. Again, it's okay, and I will say this much. It works much better than that. You can cut the 8-meter long logs. It's great, but it does suffer from the same problem that a lot of these things suffer from, which is how in the heck do you unload this? I don't know. Yeah, I think there's better things to use for that, so we're going to kind of jump that one. Back there is one of the first real good chippers that worked. Let me see if I can get back here. This was the, let me see if I can find it in my list here. It was the Crasher. That's what it is. It's a Crasher. It's got a picture of a woodchuck beaver thing on it. It's okay. It's okay. But I will say, when you put it up against this giant Gens crusher, yeah, that one wins all the time. However, I will tell you this much. I've had constant crashes with this thing. You do need to be aware that you need to get the most recent one. So make sure you have the most recent one for the 1.2 patch, because since I upgraded, this thing crashes my game all the time. The trailers here. So the PJ, the long PJ, which is on the bottom, is a very good trailer. The PJ that's in the middle is a decent trailer. It doesn't have a load point on it, but that's okay. And then the top one is just a tow-along trailer, which is fine, except for you can't use it with bales, as we discovered during a live stream. So you can't put bales on that one. That kind of bums me out. But overall, this set of trailers is actually pretty darn good. I would count them as a set. I bumped them when I was backing in the shredder. This is the wool trailer. It's been up-converted. The textures on the dirt is terrible, but, you know, it's kind of whatever. I would say this one is decent, but when put up against the PJ trailer, it kind of loses out pretty badly. I'd say take the PJ trailer over the wool trailer. Here's another one of those shredders that we did. And I would say, again, don't bother. Get the big crasher. It's so much better. It is more expensive, but in the end, it's much better. That comes with a truck. This comes with a truck. That comes with a truck. So let me get rid of the wool trailer and a couple of these crashers because they're not needed. And then we're going to have to deal with the trucks before we get rid of the wagons that go with the trucks. All right, for seeders, we didn't have much. We had 2 John Deeres. We had this big 9218 that fertilizes, but you don't actually have to load it with fertilizer. That upsets me. You can't collapse it, which sort of upsets me. You do clip through huge chunks of it because they didn't allow you to collapse it. That's kind of annoying. And it's actually a corn planter, not a wheat planter. Annoying. This one, however, is pretty darn nice. Pretty sweet piece of kit. I would say totally keep the John Deere air seeder. Don't bother with this thing unless you really want it. I mean, it feels kind of cheaty because you don't have to pay for the fertilizer, but you fertilize when you use it. So it's like, And before I go and sell that, let's also talk about harvesters. I got all the heads over here. The harvesters, I didn't like the 550. It actually just felt meh. So I didn't like the 550. The 780, I like the 780, except the price is really bad. Somebody commented angrily about me riffing on the price. I don't like the price because it's terrible. Additionally, the guy inside the truck freaks me out. Don't do that. I like the FAR. It works. Sadly, that's probably one of the better ones, though. Oops, that's the wrong one. This FAR here, big green here, is not a bad little piece of kit. I would actually say that one's probably one of the better ones. And then we have this Russian one here. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's superb, but it's not a bad harvester. In fact, I'd say these 3 are probably one of the best. And if I had to choose, it would be these 2, the 2 FARs. Those are the 2 best we did. I really love that 780, but oh my gosh, just fix the price. That would make it even better. I'll put the 780 as sort of a tentative. Go in the XML, fix the price to make it proper, and then we can talk. Also, get rid of the stupid guy in the cab. That's silliness. All right, let me clean this stuff up. Actually, you know what? While we're here, let's talk about these shelters. There's 2 shelters here. I like them both. They come in 1 pack. We did it early on. Can't even remember when. The placeable halls, so it would be number 6 episode. The placeable halls, they're pretty good. I like them. I find a great use for them. If you put them on a steep hill, the back of it, will see if you look right back there, you can see how it's sticking above the ground. That's kind of annoying, but I totally understand why it's doing it. So those are approved. I like them. So let me sell the stuff we're getting rid of. All right, here's one of the other placeable halls we did. This was just called the placeable hall 2, I believe. I do like this one. This one was really nice. It's got the racks already built into it. I put it on a hill and see how the stuff comes in here. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It seems kind of weird, but it's not bad. I like it. I like the fact it's got the racks in it already. So I like this placeable hall as well. This is the Cat DuraShield. It does a great job of pushing crap out of the way. Yay, we like that. And then this was, this confused me because I didn't know what it was originally. It's actually sort of like a conveyor belt type thing to pick stuff up and discharge it into a trailer. That's great if you need it. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I don't think it's terrible. So we're going to keep it only because of that reason right there. It's not terrible. It does a job that other things don't do. I mean, you'd have to go get a front loader otherwise. Though we have a front loader that'll do the job really, really well. It's just really, really expensive. So this wasn't a bad piece of kit either. I don't remember what it is. We could look it up, but we're not. So this haul actually holds good stuff. Yay, good stuff. I do wish that the author would put triggers on here so you could close the door. That would make it so much awesomer, neater. It'd make it more neat. Let's go with that. Circus. Don't bother with the circus unless you need a set piece. Let me just say that. Here's our John Deere. This is the 748H. The 500 is up in the parking garage. It's a great thing. So is the 500. Both those John Deeres, they are definitely keepers. Don't get rid of them. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. They work well. Yay. I didn't actually show you that they worked, but I promise they work. You have to learn a little bit how to work them, but They do work. This mower, by the way, right here, it does work if you turn on all-wheel drive, but barely. It barely does its job. It's not worth it to do anything with. We'll sell that in a moment. Along with some of the contents of the bottom floor of our parking garage, there is the Profi Hopper. Keep it. It's awesome. I love that Profi Hopper. It works. That Ford, trash it. It's terrible. That Ford, whatever it is, 8630, terrible. Full of log errors. It's part of the reason that I have such a terrible frame rate over here. This Ford 4000, terrible. Don't even bother with it. This lifted truck, okay, if there wasn't a dude in there, would be mediocre. There's another one out, but it's still not great. I would still say don't bother. In fact, if you want a truck, I would say this thing here is a really great one. If you want an old truck, not the Link, I'll try to find the new Link, but there's a better one than the one I have. The one I have spins out all the time, but he did fix that. There's this Volkswagen, which is just fun. Just a fun little thing. And then, believe it or not, this Hummer is not a bad truck. I mean, it's not a truck, but it is, it's a truck. Still, this thing, we're going to call it this Illinois. Illinois is the best one I've found with the bed hitch, for whatever you want to call it. You can call it whatever. I'm just going to call it a bed hitch because everyone yells at me about it. So out of these, we're going to sell a huge chunk of them. All right, so that's what's left. I would say in the end, you really want this truck here right now. I think there are some good trucks coming. I think some people are really going to make some nice pieces of equipment, but we'll wait and see. The Chevy and the VW are fun, and the Hummer, it works, which is actually pretty shocking. All right, now for the truck floor. Yeah, the truck floor. Yeah, there's a huge frame rate problem. That frame rate problem is right here. This man truck, it keeps a light on, and lights are terrible frame rate messes. Also, it's not a great chipper. I mean, it is a chipper. It works, but the better one's downstairs on that trailer. This Kenworth is the truck end of that trailer downstairs. It's okay, but it's got too much of a clipping problem. It's okay, but I wouldn't keep it. I would say there's better equipment for hauling logs. Good Lord, I'm not going to be able to get to everything here. This over here, Kenworth, this is a really nice one. I like this Kenworth. It's worth you keeping. Definitely pick up that Kenworth if you're looking for an American-style semi. I'd also say get and keep the Ural. Both this one with the crane and this one without are worth you checking out. They're definitely nice. Really good logging equipment. These two are swap body trucks. It's sort of like pick and choose. I would actually take this one because it's got the big beefy tires. Some people would take that one because it doesn't. I like beefy tires. We're going to go with the beefy tire truck. But both of those are decent. I'm probably going to sell one off. Nah, probably not. I'll probably keep it. We've got this man here. This is the Handyman. It doesn't actually have a locking script. The interesting thing is if you look carefully, it has a lip. I mean, you don't have to look too carefully. It has a lip. That lip allows you to put stuff in here, and then when the stuff hits the lip, it stops sliding. I've put stuff up here and driven around at top speed. It does okay. You just can't stack stuff on top of each other, which is kind of cool, so it's not super great. This man with the fuel tanker, it's actually a mobile fuel trigger. It doesn't actually haul the fuel, which totally bums me out. I don't like it. This man truck, oh, good Lord. This man truck here, it goes with that little trailer downstairs. It's just a relatively inexpensive way to haul your grain around. I'm not sold on it. I'd rather just get a trailer, honestly. By the time you buy this, you can get a larger trailer, or you could even just save a little bit and get a overloader. So what's the point? That's my statement there. This Brooks, it is a shredder. You can get it on there. It just takes a lot of practice to get the second piece on. There's a trailer downstairs that goes with it. I'm not sold on it. Again, when it comes to shredders, the big trailer, I like it so much better than anything else. This Scania was for a long time a superb log handling piece of equipment. If you don't like the Ural because it's too rough and ready for you, this Scania is great. However, understand that the Ural allows you to take 8-meter long loads of logs. The Scania, you're going to have to cut it much shorter. So it's sort of, you got to balance that out. I personally take the Ural every single time over the Scania, but I do like the Scania. We're going to keep the Scania hanging out in here. And then somewhere back here, I don't think I can even get back there. That right there, see it through there? There's a Kenworth. That is a standard truck version of that one there, which is the log version. So they are pretty much identical. They're okay, but there's a huge clipping problem with both of them. And I would say, in the end, if you're looking for a truck, get that Kenworth back over there. So let me clean off the truck floor here before we go up to the tractor floor. All right, I accidentally sold that Scania. I totally didn't mean to do it. I was trying to sell the Brooks. Oopsie. I'll go buy it later. Some of you know that there's another set of semis, but we'll get there in a moment. All right, so we're on the tractor floor. There is the 500 series John Deere that goes with the 700 downstairs. Frame rate was so bad I couldn't get the 700 up here. It's a decent enough. It is awesome. Actually, it's more than decent. It is awesome. It definitely goes with the 700. It's sort of like the baby. You get this one, then once you've used it for a while, you upgrade to the 700. That's what I'm totally going with. It is awesome. I like it so much. We got a couple of Fendt. These are 828s. They came in a pack. You got a double wheel and a single wheel. It includes some weights for them. Definitely decent enough tractors. There's nothing super amazing to tell you, oh, wow, these are amazing tractors. But they're not bad. They're not bad. They're going to lose out to some of these others, though. I'll tell you that much. All right, so let's go over here. Let's... so many of them. Let's start over here. All right, so let's start with this guy. This is the MTZ. This tractor is amazing. It's got so much just going for it. Like if I hit 5, is it 5 or 5? There we go. Hit 5. We open up the back. We have the little road train thing that goes on top. We have the attacher block goes on the... That's not the attacher block. Attacher block. There you go. That turns it into a front loader. That's really cool. There is a way... I just can't remember. Yeah. Is it? No. Oh, look at that. Look at that even. Forward and reverse. Look at that. There. There. I can turn on my, or I can open up the front. I can open up my doors. I mean, we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff that's been put on here that is just an amazing addition to what is otherwise would be considered a small, silly little tractor, but it's not. It's very well done. It's an amazingly well done tractor. The Turbomatic, the Fendt 310 Turbomatic, it is basic. I mean, we can open up a window. We got the start of some of the amazing IC that you got in Farm Sim 13. It's definitely worth taking a check out if you really like the Fendt. It is low on the power, like the MTZ, but it's definitely worth a look at. Definitely nice. The class Axion. This one also had a whole bunch of stuff. It is sticking out of the building, but don't mind that. Don't mind that. This also opens up the hood, which is very nice. And then we can open up windows. We can open up doors. I mean, we've got a bunch of things, again, to really sell this as a useful piece of kit that you can have in your farm. So it's really nice. This New Holland we looked at. I love this New Holland. You see me using it on the live streams all the time. Beautiful little tractor. It's not super powerful, but it's useful. This thing tips over all the time. It's really not worth your time or effort. You take a turn at top speed and it just goes flop on its side. This thing has so many log airs, don't even bother. Just based on that alone, don't bother. The Massey, decent enough. This John Deere, decent enough. They're there's nothing really to make me say these are terrible tractors. They're not super amazing, but they're not terrible tractors. This guy is not a terrible tractor either. The Challenger, don't bother. It's got a... Oops, I ended up randomly downstairs. Let's go back upstairs. Okay, the Challenger, it's actually a reskin John Deere. I mean, when you get into it, I can't get into it. It teleports me downstairs. It's a reskin John Deere. When you get into it, the inspector mod tells you immediately it's a John Deere. I hate when you just reskin and you don't fix all the little things, so I wouldn't bother with that either. There's another Massey, decent enough Massey. Also another decent enough John Deere that I just fell through. Why did I fall through this? Oh, I remember why I fell through this. If I remember correctly. Is it in the IC that I can open that? Yes. And I can take off the various engine covers. So there you go. So that's really great because, you know, I got my engine covers on the floor and I got my engine open and everything. But I walk through that engine. If I go over here to this class, I can't walk through the engine. The MTZ, I can't walk through the engine. They did a much better job, in my opinion, than with this John Deere, where you could walk into the engine because they took the time to do the opening engine. However, it is a beautiful, beautiful engine that is absolutely gorgeous in there. And look at that, we have the John Deere on the hood caps. Oh, it's so cute. I personally won't ever use it, but it's decent. I wish you didn't walk through the engine. That would make it 100% better. This big old Kloss here, it's got all the bells and whistles of all of these Klosses, except for I fall in the engine. See? Again, fall in the engine. I don't like falling in the engine of my tractors or walking through the cab of my tractors. All these other ones, I walk on top of the cab. That one I fall through the cab. That upsets me enough to say I don't like it. That is a terrible, absolute horrid mess to your log. Don't get that. Volvo, it loses out for one reason and one reason only. But I have to tab to get there. Hold on. Here. That's the reason that Volvo loses out. The cat pack. Yes, the cat pack. This is an amazing pack. Totally worth your time and investment. The Kenworth. Beautiful. Well done. Amazing. This is the whole reason I love this pack, is this monster here, the 980H. I do wish that you had an Arctic and an all-wheel steer, but you get just the all-wheel steer. 2 giant trailers to haul your grain. You get this flatbed, which auto-loads your hay bales. Hallelujah. And you get a big tanker for hauling all of your liquid needs. So definitely worth checking out the cat pack. It is worth every penny of buying all the bits and bobs of the cat pack. So let me quickly sell a few more pieces of equipment. Now I'm back up here with the all of the tractors that we have left. Now, I want to break these down a little bit into sort of the modern and the elderly. And really, when it comes down to it, we have 2 what I would call classic tractors. And that's the MTZ, and that is the Farmer 310 LSA Turbomatic. In the end, I would say that the MTZ is more worthy of your attention than the Farmer here. The MTZ is just a more beautiful tractor overall. I would honestly say, and I'm actually going to note, that of the 2, get the MTZ. When it comes to the new tractors, it's really a toss-up. There's 2 of them here that are dedicated front loaders, and that would be this little guy here and this John Deere 6810. I would say of the 2, keep both of them in your game. And the reason I say that is this is a $60,000 tractor. This is a $30,000, $26,000 tractor. Totally worth your time to get something little and cheap when you're starting out. Now, when it comes to the modern tractors, I would say the Masseys and the Deeres are really where it's at. But the Axiom is actually ahead of everybody because it's so much more beautiful, so much better done. The clipping through the wall is actually a product of this terrible parking garage. These Fendt, I'm not sold on because they have nothing extra. They're a simple convert from 2013. So you don't really gain anything. You don't really lose anything. So I'm not really sold on them. So of these, I would say, obviously get that John Deere right there. Grab the John Deere 6000 series pack. I personally would skip this guy here, the 7810, because of the clipping engine issue. If you love Massey's, grab the Massey's, but I'm going to say skip the Massey's personally. I would also skip that New Holland there, and I would go completely to this Class 850 Axiom, get the MTZ, get that little New Holland there, and there you go. There's your tractors for you. Now, one other piece of equipment we need to talk about is, I said that we would talk about why this Ponzi was kept here on the farm, and the reason is really because the crashing of the big crasher, the crashing of the big chipper. Whenever you're in the new patch, the 1.2 patch, which isn't new, but if you don't have the proper piece of equipment or the proper version of the big trailer, it will cause game crashes, in which case dropping back to this Ponzi Buffalo isn't a bad thing. Personally, I'm the big fan of this one, and I would totally go with the trailer over this, unless you really need a mobile piece of equipment, in which case go with that one, because it's the better of all of the ones that we looked at, with the exception maybe of the Crasher trailer, the big one with the chipmunk on it. And then one other thing, we did look at the base plate. This is something you cannot sell once you place it down. It's a great little thing to use if you need to base plate something that otherwise is going to have grass in it or something like that. Use is limited, but there you go. That's the base plate. All right, there's a link in the description. That link is a Google Doc with all of the mods that I did in this quarter, and I have notated which ones I've kept, which ones I think are okay, and which ones the ones that are in red are the ones you don't want. Period. All right. We're going to start the second quarter. We're going to do this quarterly now. So I don't care how many episodes we get in a quarter. It's going to be at the end of each quarter. So the next award show is going to be June. The end of June. There you go. And at the end of June, the ones from this first quarter are going to face off against the second quarter, and we'll see who wins in the end. And that way we can sort of keep going forward. I'm going to get rid of a few more of those tractors. I'm going to get rid of the fence. I'm going to get rid of the John Deere and the Massey's that I pointed out, as well as that one New Holland and the Turbomatic. But other than that, I'm going to keep all this stuff. I'm going to move it all forward, and join me next time. I've been DerTebbers. This has been your Farming Simulator 15 first quarter awards / cleaning the farm episode. Until next time, happy farming, everybody. Outtake time! Don't sell your parking garage when your tractors are still in it, or you have hover tractors. I have hover tractors! No! Some of them fell. Actually, what happened was the Axiom fell, and it hit a bunch of other equipment on the way down. I can't get to my tractors now.